I think the data centers that are powering all the innovation happening in AI are contributing to the emissions. And many companies like Google, Microsoft, they are taking steps to actually even go to the nuclear energy as a source of actually reducing the reliance on energy generated through fossil fuels in order to cool the data centers.
Welcome to The Greener Way. I'm your host, Rose Mary Petrass, Senior Journalist at FS Sustainability. We are recording on Gadigal land and we pay our respects to traditional custodians of country and elders past, present and emerging. It's fair to say that AI is officially here to stay. It's in our workplaces, helping analyse data and summarise meeting notes. And it's even in our homes, helping us come up with recipes for what to eat for dinner and to generate funny pics of our dogs as an astronaut. However, AI is churning through energy and leaving behind a hefty carbon footprint, especially when we consider Scope 3 emissions. Today, we're thrilled to welcome Prabhakar Srinivasan, Director and Co-Lead of Artificial Intelligence at Synechron, the global consulting firm, to help us navigate the environmental impact of AI. With a strong presence in the financial space, including some of Australia's largest banks, Synechron brings insights on how companies can harness AI's power sustainably without compromising performance. Welcome to the show, Prabhakar.
Yeah, thanks, Rose. Thanks for having me.
Can you start off by breaking down the different types of AI that are commonly used? And also, when we talk about AI, where do the emissions come from?
Sure. So when we talk about AI, there are different types of AI or different evolutions of AI. Over the last couple of decades, we've had classical AI, which is algorithms like random forest, clustering algorithms like k-means clustering. These are algorithms which have been very powerful and they've had a huge impact on industries for several years. Of late, what's happened in the last decade is there's a huge revolution in deep learning, where we've taken neural networks from a few decades ago and added a lot of sophistication. And now these deep learning algorithms are capable of achieving remarkable success, where classical AI algorithms faltered or couldn't achieve much success. And then now, in the last 2 years, we've seen a huge progress in the space of generative AI, where we've leveraged one of the neural network architectures called transformers. And we built layers of sophistication over this neural network architecture and made it very useful for industries. And companies like OpenAI and Anthropic and Google have democratized access to these large language models. So that's the latest revolution that we see in generative AI. So a combination of all of these technologies are here to help humanity deal with many problems that we face.
Can you talk a little bit about where the emissions come from?
Sure. So traditional classical AI models did not really contribute significantly to carbon dioxide emissions. But what's happened is these latest models, which are very powerful, have actually placed a lot of stress on the environment by requiring very high-end infrastructure like large data centers in order to operate. Now, when these large data centers operate, they generate a lot of CO2 emissions, and there's a lot of heat that is generated. So you need to use a lot of energy of the grid to cool the data centers. So this puts a lot of stress on our existing energy infrastructure. And in terms of emissions, I think the data centers that are powering all the innovation happening in AI are contributing to the emissions. And many companies like Google, Microsoft, they're taking steps to actually even go to the nuclear energy as a source of actually reducing the reliance on energy generated through fossil fuels in order to cool the data centers.
So the latest data says that Google's greenhouse gas emissions rose by 48% over the last 5 years because of AI. So how are companies navigating the balance between wanting these advanced AI models, but also contending with this huge environmental footprint?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think Google has published that they have a plan to be carbon neutral as far as all their data centers are concerned by 2030. And similarly, all the cloud vendors, cloud operators are actually taking steps actively to reduce, mitigate their carbon dioxide emissions. What are companies doing to take steps to regulate the emissions and use AI in a responsible manner? Companies are actually choosing the right cloud vendors that are offering the best planet-friendly choices in terms of data centers. And even if you were to go with Google, there are lots of options where you have certain data centers which are not yet carbon neutral and some that are carbon neutral. So as a end user, you could always choose to use data centers which are carbon neutral or are running in a very sustainable manner. And then you can use that as your infrastructure to run your AI models. So that's the bare minimum that companies could do when they think about doing what's right for the planet. Beyond that, there are many things that companies could do. For example, we all are really in the midst of a huge transformation that we see, the innovation that's brought about by AI and generative AI. We are all using ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini on a day-to-day basis in our work, whether it's to write an email or to take a photo and transform it in a manner that's it's more entertaining or amusing, and sharing it with friends. AI is so pervasive; it's part of our life now, and that's going to be the norm going forward. But what we could do is we always have a choice. If we have to summarize an email, we don't have to rely on very large infrastructure, large models, large language models, which are running in data centers. We could use small language models. So we always have a choice to switch between large language models to small language models. And the emissions coming out of small language models, which could potentially even run on our laptops, is negligible. So that way, we are being more sensitive, more responsible in the use of AI. Companies that are into logistics, fleet management can use better route optimization algorithms, and that has a direct impact on the CO2 emissions. Companies that are handling infrastructure for renewable energy like solar and wind energy, they could invest in digital twin technology, and many of them are doing that already. And the general adage is, if you can't measure, you can't optimize. So digital twins will give you a great way of measuring the efficiency of your infrastructure, and then you could choose to improve it by doing certain scenario analysis. Scenario analysis cannot be done in the real installation. You need a simulation for that. So digital twins are great, where you can swap out certain models of solar panels and analyze how your energy generation characteristics look like. What are the CO2 emissions? All of those can be analyzed. So I talked about small language models. I talked about digital twins. I also wanted to talk about an indirect way in which AI can help with emissions. That is, renewable energy infrastructure tends to be very expensive to set up and monitor. So preventive maintenance has always been a great use case where we've showcased the power of AI. Handling very large amounts of data and detecting anomalies is a bit like detecting or finding a needle in a haystack, and AI is great at doing such things. So if we were to turn the power of AI to do preventive maintenance on renewable energy infrastructure, that can actually have an indirect effect where AI is not directly contributing to something like carbon sequestration, but it's actually helping infrastructure which is promoting our move away from fossil fuels. So that way, AI will have a great impact or a significant impact on sustainability. And lastly, I wanted to touch upon something which is an exciting new frontier. Generative AI is actually not just helping us draft emails and write interesting news articles, things like that. It's actually also helping us with material science research. So you can actually create a lot of materials, and this would be helpful if you wanted to move away from plastic, or if you wanted to discover if you wanted to discover something that would help you with carbon sequestration, certain materials that can have certain chemical properties that can improve the efficiency of your solar panels. All of these can be achieved by using generative AI, and scientists now would have hundreds of compounds that they can test for their physical characteristics, all generated using generative AI. So there's a lot of breakthroughs coming up, and companies should invest in it, should embrace it, and that's only good for the planet.
Thank you so much for your time today. Where can people find out more about your approach to sustainable AI use?
Synechron actually is an IT consulting company, and we have practices, centers of excellence. We have data practice, AI practice, we have cloud practice, and like this, we have many practices. And one of the latest practices that was created was the sustainable finance and ESG practice. So I would highly recommend our audience to visit Synechron's website and go through our practices page, and you will know how we engage with our clients and empower them on their sustainability journey.
Thank you very much. Until next time, then, I'm Rose Mary Petrass, and thank you for listening to The Greener Way.
The Greener Way podcast is a product of FS Sustainability, a show about people, the planet, and investing in our collective future. All information in this podcast is for education and entertainment purposes only. The Greener Way podcast gives listeners access to information and educational content provided by discussing numerous financial sustainable options and our featured guests. It is not intended as a substitute for professional, legal, or tax advice. The hosts of The Greener Way are not financial professionals and are not aware of your personal financial circumstances. Before making any financial decisions, you should read the product disclosure statement, and if necessary, consult a licensed financial professional. For more information, head to the disclaimer page on the FS Sustainability website, fssustainability.com.au.